It's EU residency with a price tag.
If you want a passport, go to Portugal. If you don't want a passport, go to Greece.
The Global Passport Investor is your go-to podcast.
So welcome to the very first episode of the Global Passport Investor. I'm your host, Eric Major, an investment migration veteran with over 30 years in the game. This is one of many upcoming episodes where we'll talk about residency and citizenship and everything to do about investment migration. If you're watching this on YouTube, please leave your questions in the comments section. And for those of you listening to the podcast, your email inquiry should be sent to questions@globalpassportinvestor.com. Now, it's fitting that we start this podcast series with no less one of the most popular Golden Visa programs in the history of our industry, and that's Portugal. Before we meet our very special guest, let me ask our listeners the following. What do you think of when I say Portugal? Perhaps you're thinking of the world's most popular footballer, Cristiano Ronaldo. Or maybe you're thinking of port, that delightful libation that we like to sip over Christmas, but somehow the Portuguese drink it all year round. Or maybe you're thinking of cork, which is that spongy tool nestled in all the world's top bottles of wine. Portugal is in fact the largest producer of cork in the world. Well, for my guests and I, when we think of Portugal, we think of Golden Visa. And what is a Golden Visa? Some of our listeners may be wondering. It's essentially a residence permit granted to foreign nationals that make a prescribed investment pursuant to the immigration rules. It's EU residency with a price tag. Now, let's meet our special guests and dive into this wonderful world of Golden Visas. I have here with me Jerry Morgan, who is the founder and CEO of Mercan Group, and his partner in crime, Jordi Vilanova, who is the president of Mercan Properties. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you.
Great to have you both. Jerry, I'm going to start with you, as we have a few things in common. We're both Canadians from Montreal, the birthplace of the Golden Visa industry, isn't it?
We're correct.
Yeah, it all started quite a bit long ago, even more in your case than mine.
I think the entire industry throughout the world all has some original connection to Canada.
Yeah, indeed. It really brought up an expertise through those early days that really got exported to other destinations and jurisdictions around the world. So, you've been at it for even longer than I have to admit. So tell me a little bit about that journey. How long has it been exactly that you've been in this industry?
It's going on 34 years. It's a long, long time. But I do remember dealing with you going back 30 years ago in Montreal, and it just seems like not so long ago.
Do you still have that same office in Notre Dame Street?
Fortunately, I've upgraded a little bit since there, but yeah, it's been a long time, and we've still been going at it and going strong all these years.
And as you said, Canadians exported our expertise in this space to the Americas and to Europe, and certainly into Portugal, as we're discovering now. Jordi, as the president of Mercan Properties, you must be very proud of your group's performance. I understand could be as high as 40% market share in the touristic development route of the Golden Visa when that option was available, but only available up until last month. So how did you guys achieve such an impressive market share? And welcome to the show, by the way.
Thank you, Eric. So, can I correct you just a bit?
Oh, please.
It's probably over 50%.
No kidding. Come on.
But people asking us, so how did we do that in these past months? And there's no question that there are two reasons why we were able to achieve that. The first one is the level of partnerships we have that, as Jerry said, we've been building over 30 years with people like you guys. And it's not only about companies, but it's mainly about individuals. Mm-hmm. So that has made a difference in the past 8 to 10 months.
Yes.
The second reason is that when some uncertainty was created, we made sure that we had the legal backup that would take us what we thought it was a very reasonable target, which was to continue with the program as it was. And of course, many developers, they did not believe on what was going to happen. Yeah. Through our dialogue with the government, we think that they understood that the infrastructure that is being created and was created through the tourist infrastructure category was unique. So I think they were kind of separating what ended up being a change in affordable housing to the Golden Visa itself. As we have seen, we just have a new program. It was not cancelled, we just have a new program.
Mm-hmm. That's a good testimony about sticking with it till the very end. I think you were saying that earlier today when we spoke. Now, just to bring in our listeners and viewers who may not know, details around the requirements. First of all, having to spend even 7 days a year. It's not an onerous requirement, but the program does require 7 days a year. We've recently, as a firm, published a guide to help investors on what to see and what to do, including some really cool must-see spots in Lisbon. Well, Jordi, again, which off-the-beaten track experience would you recommend that you could see or one should see in the Portuguese capital of Lisbon?
No one is listening to us, right?
Okay. Keep it on board.
So there's a particular place called Bar Tejo, which is a small jazz place in Alfama, which is kind of a new and up-and-coming area. It's a unique place, and you might find yourself sitting next to Madonna, just listening to jazz.
No kidding.
No kidding.
As in the Madonna, the artist, or some other Madonna? Okay, so it's one of those unique little retro, no one knows about kind of place?
Yes.
Okay, Jerry, have you been there before? Do you know
I haven't been there.
Okay, he's got to bring you. Jerry, I got one for you as well. The Portuguese government, recently stripped out the most popular route that we had seen in the Golden Visa history, certainly in Portugal, this property investment. Now, with the retraction of property investment and touristic developments, what options remain for investors interested in Portugal, and what will Mercan Group be offering them?
Well, I think what's important is that the Golden Visa program remains. Yes. So they have not canceled it. So anybody that applied over the last year that was worried about a change regime or anything else, you're fine. So straight ahead, the existing program still exists in terms of the rules. Now, in terms of the real estate options which were canceled, what they've created is what's called the Venture Capital Fund. And Mercan will be offering units in this in the next coming weeks. And our fund will focus on the hospitality area. So our fund will be investing in a number of companies that will be operating hospitality and tourism facilities, hotels per se. So we will have a diversified portfolio of 4- and 5-star branded hotels that investors can invest in the fund, and the fund in turn will invest with companies that will own and operate these hotels.
And that's keyword, own and operate.
Own and operate, that's correct.
So that's interesting. And I think, well, I'm going to bring it back to you, Jordi, but before that, I want to remind our viewers that they could leave their questions in the question segment of the YouTube below. Otherwise, if they're listening to the podcast, I remind you to send us your questions at questions@globalpassportinvestor.com.
The greatest investment you could ever make is an investment in your future. Rift Trust and Latitude Group is the leading provider of residency and citizenship solutions for high net worth individuals.
Our clients are like our extended family. We're a global firm with a local focus.
What makes us truly unique is our leadership team. 100 years of combined industry experience, and we're working every day with governments to improve and build new residency and citizenship programs.
Obtaining a second residence or citizenship is the best modern insurance policy for you and your family.
Our clients
Expect the world.
we deliver it.
Hello to freedom.
So Jerry just shared that Mercan will be launching an investment fund. So that's great. Congratulations on your foray into this new space. Now, how do you expect to distinguish yourself from the others in this already crowded space? The investment funds have been around not as long as the property route, but certainly have been around for a while. How do you expect to distinguish yourself in that space?
Yeah, I mean, we've been always pioneers in most of the spaces, and there are 3 reasons why we think this will provide the comfort to our partners and to investors to make ourselves unique. The first one is that we invest 10% into the fund ourselves. So we are the first investor into the fund. So some people ask, well, what about if there are not enough investors? Well, we are the first investors. So from day one, the fund will start operating. The second thing is the fund is investing in hotels that most of them, actually 3 hotels, 2 of them, they are almost fully funded in terms of construction. So no matter what, the projects will go on. And the third one...
So they're not dependent on the receipt of these capitals.
Exactly.
Insofar as, okay.
Exactly. So these, in terms of comfort and risk assessment for the investors, makes a big difference. And the third one is the buyback. Because we are in the residency world, many investors, they are very keen on the buyback. So
Exit strategy.
Exit strategy, right. So we maintain these as a key feature. So those 3 are the 3 components that we think will make ourselves
That's always
unique.
been, you're consistent. It's an innovation you brought to the touristic development project side en route, which I know led to how many projects in the end that you guys offered?
We have 29 hotels that were under Portugal program. 8 are open already, and almost all of them are under construction now. So we'll have a number opening next year, and the balance will open the following year.
Super. Well
So
done.
we still have a lot of work to do to get them up and running, but it's exciting.
Well, you listen, to put this also in the perspective of the landscape, the market, or the marketplace. Jerry, how would you compare and contrast Portugal's current Golden Visa regime as compared to maybe some of its neighbors? I'm thinking of Greece or Malta, or even the Spanish offering that also has Golden Visas. So how do you see Portugal fit in that landscape?
Well, I've always said Portugal is the best value program on the market in terms of price.
Even at 500,000 now?
Even at 500,000.
Okay.
And I'll compare the two, best value and ease of use. If you compare it to Spain, Spain is 500,000. But if you want a passport, Portugal, you can do it with spending 35 days over 5 years. If you want to go to Spain, it's going to take you 10 years and you need to live there.
Yeah.
If you compare Portugal to Greece, again, Greece is cheaper. It's only 250,000. So we recommend the Greece program to people that just want visa, travel freely. So if you don't want a passport, Greece is better than Portugal.
Oh,
So-
you're not afraid to say that, and I appreciate that. You're right. Price point wise, if it's just
If you
the
don't want a
card-
passport, buy Greece. Don't waste your money on me.
Yeah.
And if you want Malta, Malta again is a similar program to Greece
Yeah, it doesn't
in that it doesn't lead to a passport. So if you know you want a passport, Portugal is the only way to go.
Now, to be clear and transparent to our listeners, beyond the very important 7-day minimum requirement, which for most investors is quite manageable, no matter where they are in the world, they could easily slip in 7 days or more for a holiday in Portugal. But in fairness, they would have to meet other requirements as well, eh?
You need the beginner Portuguese.
A beginner level of Portuguese.
That's correct.
And obviously have maintained your investment, which is the part that you guys facilitate.
That's correct.
Okay, now over to you, Jordi. I got a question here. Many investors are more interested in citizenship by investment than residency by investment. But Portugal technically doesn't have a citizenship by investment program. So how smoothly can an investor progress from residence to citizenship? So it plays a little bit off the last point you were making. What is that journey? And realistically, how long do you think it could take for someone applying today to graduate to that final status?
Yeah, that's a question that keeps coming up. So yes, there's only 5 years from the time you have your residency till the time you apply for citizenship, having spent 35 days during these 5 years, and an elementary Portuguese test, which, by the way, now you can take in most of the embassies around the world. So that's easy.
Oh, I see. So it doesn't have to be...
It doesn't have to be in Portugal. You can take it in most of the embassies, Portuguese embassies around the world. So that makes things easier. And now with the new restructuring of CEF, we expect that the 18 months to 2 years that we were waiting for the cards, this should be reduced. So then in terms of once you apply for citizenship, so you after the 5 years, when you submit your...
How long is that taking?
So now it takes between 12 and 14 months.
Okay.
So
which is
it's a
consistent to
reasonable
many
time.
European jurisdictions and UK, where I recently applied, and it took me 14 months to get. So that's a standard delay. But to be fair, what you're saying is you submit your application for residency. You have therefore invested in a fund. CEF now AIM, I think AIMA is the new entity name.
Yes,
that's correct.
Does its work, whether it takes 18 months, 24 months, or 6 months, we will see.
Yeah.
We will see. But once they've opined on the applicant's application and, let's say, granted, is it still a 2+2 visa?
Yes.
Is it 2 years?
Yes.
Every 2 years?
Yes.
So they'll grant you 2 years, and then the applicant will ask for the extension, again another 2 years, and again ask for the extension, again another 2 years. But once they fulfill 5, which is in the middle of that third extension,
Yes,
that
right.
third visa, if they met the other requirements, they could apply. And what you're saying is typically a year to a year and a half, let's say, to get it. Okay, so that's a journey that's
pretty simple,
realistically
yeah.
7 to 8 years, and hopefully with CEF being restructured, we'll see some improvement there. Okay, back to you, Jerry. I have a tough, well, again, we're touching on this, maybe not as tough reality check. You're used to having this question brought to you, I'm sure, many, many times. So in many ways, you'll agree, Portugal's Golden Visa program has become the victim of its own success, with the government agency responsible for reviewing application unable to cope with the demand, leading to the current processing delays exceeding 2 years. Now, do you foresee this improving in the months ahead, or should we simply expect the same fate as experienced in Canada, our home country, and the United States, which is to see processing times grow to 3 years, 4 years, 5 years? Now, there's a lot of hope maybe in this restructuring we just referenced. What's your take? What's your feeling? Do you think the Portuguese are going to tackle this?
Well, the new body has come out and said that they intend to clean up the backlog in the next 18 months. So
They made a statement around that?
They made a statement to that effect.
Okay.
So that is a very positive start
Yeah.
to the new body. They will have more resources. I think they would like to clean it up. We had changes. The biometric appointments, we don't need 3 anymore. So that frees up some space. So hopefully they will make other changes which will make the adventure or the experience more pleasant. I think everybody agrees, from the government to the investors, that we need to do something.
Yeah.
And our role as an active participant in the program is to ensure and to lobby on our customers' behalf that the process is quicker. So we're confident and comfortable that there will be improvements, not immediately,
Yeah.
but I think over time.
Well, you can ensure that I'll ask you the question at our next podcast,
Yes.
which we should make this at least an annual, if not earlier. So thanks, Jerry, for that answer. Jordi, we saw that Portugal did, with its very successful program, attract foreign nationals truly from all over the world. Do you think that this fund option that you guys are entering into, will that change the jurisdictions that you see will have an affinity towards this offering? Because with the touristic development, maybe tell us, what was the geography of what you attracted? And my question is, do you see that changing with the fund option?
Not necessarily that much. We know that North America, and especially in the past 2 years, has been attracted to Portugal. So the Golden Visa is the result of the branding of Portugal as a destination, as a tourist destination.
Indeed.
And now also we know that the Portuguese government is negotiating with the certain American airlines so that the new type of planes from Airbus and from Boeing, the 130-seaters, long range, they will be targeting secondary cities in the US. So that's why, from a tourist point of view, North America certainly it will continue to be very, very attractive. And of course, Southeast Asia has always been a market for any type of programs, and for sure it will continue to be a target area for us.
I think, as you were explaining to our sales team earlier, how you're looking to develop an investment fund that has some feature of the client getting their capital back at the end of the investment period will attract the non-traditional investment fund users, because investment funds is very much a North American, Western Europe kind of product, which I didn't think had much appeal, but with certain provisions and features that you're looking to implement with this fund option, I think it could have a wider, I agree, it would probably have a wider array of a potential market. But the United States, key to the future of this program, to this industry, and I'm really happy to see Portugal wanting to develop that even further into secondary city routes. So, Jerry, maybe we'll finish with this note here about Mercan, something you've probably created over 30 years ago, 34 years ago. Give us a bit of a history of that journey, where it started. We talked about Canada. I know you had a foray into the United States. I would quickly, for our readers' benefit, understand your journey there, and where are you now, and are there other jurisdictions, because you've been keen advocates of Portugal, I know, but you're a global company. You have sites and ideas elsewhere in the world. Give us that quick history, if you don't mind.
Well, it goes back a long ways, and thank God I can still remember. But originally I was doing what's called an executive MBA program. I was working for a venture capital company, and as part of my MBA, I had to do a thesis.
On this topic?
On any topic. So I went to my boss and I said, since you're paying for my MBA, what would you like me to do? And they came to me and said, do whatever you want, because we don't care. I said, okay. So I'd read an article that day that Canada, it's 1989, had just started the Immigrant Investor Program was announced. And I read this and I said, this is very interesting. So my thesis for my MBA was a business plan to set up a company under the Immigrant Investor Program with the new legislation that was in place. So I was at a venture capital company, went from 0 to 50 million. In the second year of my MBA, it went back down to 0. So while I was finishing my MBA, and fortunately they paid the second year of my tuition before they went bust. So I had nothing to do. I said, well, I'll start an immigrant investor business, and that's how I got into business.
And that experience, I know from bumping into you over the years in Montreal, led you also to the United States. I mean, is this US EB5 world that different to what you've done in Portugal? How different, or how the same?
It's a little bit different. What I like about the Portugal program in the US, a lot of the EB5, they run a lot of debt, and they tend to have a lot more risk. What I like about Portugal is we're running on 100% equity, which means we shouldn't have any bad stories. They should all be good endings. Yeah. Because when you operate an internationally branded hotel and you don't have debt, very little can go bad. Yeah. And that's what makes it so interesting and fun for us, is that we have a good product, and we're giving a good product to people, and people don't need to worry about it.
And any other jurisdictions that you have in sight, or are you all?
Absolutely. After Dubai, I'm going to Greece, and we hope to have our Greece project in the next 6 months.
Oh, wow.
So we'll be offering Greece. As I said, if you want a passport, go to Portugal. Yeah. If you don't want a passport, go to Greece, and we're going to be there.
Jerry, that's the headline summary of the show right there. I can't agree with you more. Listen, guys, we're going to finish off with this little theme or idea that we developed in our team to call it Anecdote time, which is obviously for you, both of you, I would ask, to share an anecdote of something that is unique, intriguing, funny tale, either about you, either about Mercan, either about the industry that you've never told, that you think our listeners could be interested in. So don't be afraid to be candid. Who wants to go first? Just something.
I'll go first.
Yeah. Okay, Jordi.
So, so first, a recommendation as a result of the anecdote. If you are a runner like me, I recommend you don't run in Parque Cidade in Porto around 6 a.m.
You don't recommend?
I don't recommend that. You might be bitten by dogs at that time, which is what happened to me about 3 years ago when I was running in Parque Cidade in Porto. I got bitten by a couple of dogs.
Okay.
So I learned my lesson. wait till maybe 8 a.m. or 9 a.m.
Or at least when the owners are around. Oh my God. How about you, Jerry? What did you?
Well, after 33 years and so many different countries, have lots of experience and lots of good stories that maybe I can't even share.
Yeah, so-
Especially as a young guy traveling throughout the world, we had some great adventures. So yeah, we can save those for later.
Yes.
But I guess I'm like Jordi. Every country I go to, I wake up early and I like to go walking around, getting exercise. So quite often I used to get into a habit where I got lost and I have trouble finding my way back to the hotel because nobody speaks English. Especially a long time ago, nobody really spoke English. So I got into a habit. I always put $20 of local currency in my pocket and a business card for the hotel. So whenever I go walking, I just get my way home. And usually 1 out of 10 times I get lost.
I know that's a true story because, and I hadn't seen you in maybe 5 years or something. And then I'm making my way early in the morning. It was in London, and who do I bump into in the streets by St.
right.
Paul's Cathedral? It was you, and
Yeah.
you were getting your gear ready and doing your walk. But I'm sure you would have managed to get back.
Well, it's a great way to see a city.
Yeah, it is actually at that time in the morning. Hey, listen, guys, it's been great having you. I don't know if there's any other final thoughts or comments that you want to share with our listeners. Anything else?
Just thank you for the opportunity.
Well, that's okay. Well, thank you most importantly for joining me on this very first inaugural podcast.
We'll be launching our new product in the next 2 weeks, so we look forward to introducing it to people. We think it's going to be exciting.
Well, from what you shared with us, Jerry and Jordi, I think you'll continue your success in this space. I want to thank you both for your time and our listeners are obviously learned a lot from listening to you. We invite our listeners to stay tuned for the next episode of the Global Passport Investor, and where we continue to walk you through the world of investment migration. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay.
That was fun.
How long was it?
Fun.
How long was it?